Hi everybody, it's Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. We'll start with our headline. 10-year yield and stocks follow Bitcoin lower, like the crystal ball predicted on yesterday's show. It's worth repeating from yesterday's show that the stock market has been following Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been acting sort of as a bellwether for quite some time. One of the main things it tracks is overall global liquidity, and when it's falling, stocks typically follow it. I'm also going to repeat that we are, in this last run when the S&P 500 made new all-time highs, Bitcoin is nowhere near its all-time high. Its all-time high was all the way back on August 14th. If risk assets were headed higher, Bitcoin would be heading higher. With Bitcoin continuing to fall, I don't think today's break in the S&P 500 is one-off. I think we are definitely headed lower in the short term in the S&P 500 and also in the 10-year Treasury note yield. I've been discussing how we've been slowing to the upside, kind of consolidating in a wedge, and we did drop by, about 4 basis points today in the 10-year Treasury note yield. Next, community topics. How did your portfolio perform today? Comment below in the comment section. How much did your portfolio move today? The Robschild portfolio rises 0.87% today. Not a ton of huge earnings reports or economic data coming out this week. Really, until Friday, we have PCE. Also Thursday, the initial and continued claims may be a big report, might not be. After all, we spiked up and went straight back down for last week's report, so definitely something to keep an eye on, though. And then, as always, tariff updates. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and supporting the channel. See my website in the description to see my daily reminders, current macro views, portfolio explained, and a new section today that I made. I'm starting to develop a stock research center. It's just a real basic, simple way of getting real basic, simple data about stocks. For example, you can type in your ticker symbol here. It says an example there like Apple, AAPL, and then you type go, and it pulls up 3 links. The macro trends goes directly to earnings per share chart. I'll show you what it looks like. If you press the middle mouse button, it opens it up in a new tab, so you don't have to right click and undo all that. And then trading view to see what the chart looks like, and then going straight to the balance sheet. These are the first 3 things to get a basic idea of what's going on with a company, and it's just a quick way of getting those 3 links instead of having to type each one into each website or Google it. It goes directly there. So like I show here, the macro trends link directly to the earnings per share, and it shows these charts as a history. Like, okay, yeah, Apple has been increasing their trailing 12-month earnings per share very well over since 2010. It opens that right away, and then like what I like to do using ChatGPT is highlight this to get like an average, to use gram formulas, that kind of a thing, and then the chart opens directly to trading view of that, and you can take a look at what's going on with the chart from there. And the Yahoo link opens the balance sheet. This is my favorite place to look at balance sheets just because of the way it's organized. You can see right away total assets, total liabilities, and you can open it up, take a look at current assets versus total liabilities. Also, like, how much, goodwill is priced in right there. You can open and close these tabs here. I just like the way that it's organized to get a rough view at what's going on with companies. So feel free to use the Stock Research Center as you please. I do plan to continue to develop this, maybe add a section in how to use it very efficiently. If you've been a long viewer of my show, you may know how I think and how I go through analyzing a stock. So I hope that's helpful. Moving on, no changes to the crystal ball ratings. And now let's get into the charts, starting with the stock heat map. As you remember yesterday, Nvidia went up 4%. Now it went down 3% today, along with Oracle down 4%, Amazon down 3%. Again, ginormous companies can move like this more easily when they are enormously undervalued or enormously overvalued, as they are right now. If you caught any of Powell's speeches today, he did mention how, yeah, stocks are expensive, but there's no like big problems. Well, yeah, not yet until, what if we get a sustained, correction of 10% in the stock market with everything else already standing on cracking ice? Like, it reminds me of that famous cartoon with a dog drinking his coffee, saying everything's fine with his house burning down around him. Thanks, Powell. You're doing a great job. We're sitting here with inflation being too high, the jobs market cracking apart, and sitting in an AI bubble right now. What could possibly go wrong from here? Anyway, as mentioned earlier in the show, S&P 500 gave up most of its gains that we had seen yesterday, and I'm expecting it to continue following Bitcoin to the downside as Bitcoin is dropping, as you can see here in this chart. Also, to mention the 10-year Treasury note yield, it's, like I mentioned before too, it's dropping at a pretty good sized candle, and so this is starting to look like one of those things that goes straight up and straight back down. I said that I think this week we are going to be cracking to the downside below 4% in the US 10-year Treasury note yield. I still think that's happening. Gold continues to amaze me. We are at a new all-time high. However, today's candle does have a pretty good sized wick on the top of it. Could mean a reversal, but we thought that, September 9th, that very, very clear topping tail was a very bearish reversal looking signal, and it did not. So it's just like gold is just, maybe it will get to 5 or 6,000. And then silver going pretty flat here today, very interestingly, with like look at that spinning top, open and close exactly like at the same spot there. You can't even see the candle, it's so small. This can be a reversal, but again, we had a similar looking thing on September 16th that, yeah, okay, it went down a little bit, but it was not like a trade top or anything like that. Next up, one of my largest holdings, EWZ, Brazilian ETF. I also have EWZS and BRZU, leveraged form of this. We closed above this previous pivot high from August 19th, telling me, this is looking pretty bullish, and it's still crazily undervalued. If you've been following the show, you might be aware its current yield is 5.5%, which for an indices of stocks in a country is like ridiculously high for stocks, because this yield typically over time, stocks typically pay out more and more money. And yeah, I know there's currency risk and political risk and all of that, but I'm not looking for this to double or triple. I'm looking for this to get up to a level of $42, which would be an estimated dividend yield of 4%. By the way, just a quick reminder, the S&P 500 is currently the United States companies are paying out 1.15% dividend yield right now, a rate not seen since the dot-com bubble. If you don't think we're in a bubble right now, I wish you luck. Next, I wanted to bring up small caps, the IWM, Russell 2000, sort of banging our heads on the all-time high of this fund, and opening right on the line, closing to the downside. This could be a top for risk assets. Add to the fact that Bitcoin is falling, total 2, and all crypto minus Bitcoin, still not looking very strong, along with Fartcoin, by the way. I don't know if you've been tracking Fartcoin. It's down over the past week. It's down 28%. One of the best performing assets of the past year, going up 1,205,000%. But over the past 7 days, dropping 28.5%. And that's all from me and my crystal ball. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Robschild.